All right, guys, we're ready to go. Guys, we're ready to go. Ransom, we need that cold open, buddy. Ransom? Ransom? Ransom?
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
All right, welcome everybody to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. This is Beef the Legend, joined this week by Poot the Bard, Bebe, Casual Gaming Dad himself, Tiger Bomb Tom, and our special guest this week, the Midcard Maniac, the Bastard, Pat. Pat, how you doing, buddy?
Good to be on.
I truly thought that you were going to call him Casual Gaming Simp. I really fucking thought that's what was going to come out of your face.
No, man.
Why?
No, man. I got no bad blood. It's all good.
Why would I be a casual gaming simp in the first place?
I don't know, man. Someone's got to channel the Ransom here, and it might as well be me. I don't have rum. Shut up. I don't have rum.
Oh,
okay? I don't have rum. But I've got some Four Roses Special Reserve bourbon. Shut your mouth. I swear. Four Roses.
Damn.
Yeah, my friend Haas introduced me to it. And it also is really good for your throat, and it's good to help clear out your chest. And plus, it just tastes so darn tasty.
I'll tell you what else is good for your throat if you want to simp here.
Okay.
Anyways, there it is. Somebody had to do it. Listen, I'm gonna start calling him Poot, the patient zero, baby, because he just can't kick this fucking cold, man.
No, man, I fucking can't.
Poot, I had to throw in that reference because whenever I wasn't on with the last episode, you said something about the ghost of Tiger Bomb Tom and his tripod. I'm like, I wasn't even on the episode and you referenced my dick. So I mean, somebody had to do it. So let's just get the dick reference out of the way now.
But we do.
And now we're good.
We do around here.
Now we're good. Now we can actually talk wrestling. Now that we're done talking about my dick.
Just a bunch of dicks talking about wrestling. That's us. All right. So, really great AEW pay-per-view this past weekend. If you ask me, it's an all-timer. I'm probably saying top 5. So it's just tough to compare because there's 38 years of history to compare it to. So it's tough to kind of get an idea of where it's at. But I can say with all due respect to all other pay-per-views that I've seen, this is probably top 10, if not top 5. Other AEW big news that happened this week. We'll go over some of the fallout as well. Ransom is out doing Ransom things, so, But before we get started, I've been asked several times about stat standings for the March Mega card. So, with no further ado, leading the pack, I am happy to say, is yours truly, Beef the Legend, Boom, with 58. Following me very closely is Denny Fedor with 57, followed closely by him by Dos Hermanos Lucha at 53.
Holy shit. They got their picks in.
They did. They're really good about picking AEW, but they usually fall apart whenever it comes to picking WWE or just forget.
They're awesome.
Noted.
They're awesome.
So, yeah, it's a tight race. And then just behind them is their current champion, Dave, allegedly with 53. Now, that's where things kind of start to fall apart, because then it's a pretty steep drop to the next highest bidder, which would be the Maniac's better half, Amber, with 46.
Good job.
Then there's a pretty big cliff.
Yeah, there is.
And we finally get to some P3 boys with Poot and Tom. That's right. You guys are bottom half. You guys might even be bottom third. I'm not a numbers guy, but Poot and Tom are tied with 40.
We're the power bottoms.
I took some risks.
It's not insurmountable.
No.
WrestleMania is a 2-night affair.
Damn you, Chris Statlander! You cost me 8 whole points, and
yeah,
so did Thunder Rosa cost me a whole 6. And
yeah, every last person, with the exception of Pat and Amber, got fleeced on Thunder Rosa, man.
The second that I heard that AFI song, I knew I was fucked on that pick. I knew it. I thought they were going to swerve us and they were going to give MJF that push.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. I have questions because I unfortunately still didn't get to watch, but I looked. I know the results. I'm looking over the results and seen some things here and there after the fallout of stuff. So
finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our own Midcard Maniac. He is at 36 points, so he's within a striking distance of you two. And then there's Ransom. Then there's Ransom.
Maybe that's why he's not here this week.
Ransom has 19 points, guys.
Jesus.
Ooh.
Yeah. He bet a lot on Adam Cole. He bet 11 points on Adam Cole.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah. So maybe he's just afraid to show his face around here this week.
I'm so disappointed I only put 1 point on Wardlow, but anytime I get to a crazy ass like ladder match and shit like that where there's conceivably at least a good couple of options and I'm really not sure, I'm just like I can't.
Yeah, man. That's what that's what the 1 point picks are for.
Yep.
So those are our standings. Like I said, we got Stand and Deliver coming up. We got WrestleMania, 2-night affair coming up in the beginning of March, all rolled into one. So we'll see who is the top man or woman standing when the picks go solid. But for right now, let's talk about Revolution, boys. Yeah, like I said, I don't have enough superlatives for it. It was absolutely one of the best pay-per-views I've seen, one of the best wrestling pay-per-views I've seen in my life.
It was all killer. All killer, no filler.
Exactly. So All Out was noteworthy last year because A, it was CM Punk's first match back, period. And B, they had the, surprises of Ruby Soho, Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole. So, like, obviously that is a banner night for AEW because they were able to.
So fresh too. That night feels so fresh.
But like last night, and I talked about it a little bit last week. Revolution has never let me down. Revolution has always been like in December, whenever different groups are talking about their card of the year, Revolution's always up there. It's always a great fucking wrestling show. And this year, I think, to me, this is the best. To me, this is the best AEW pay-per-view that they've put on. And like I said, one of the best 5-ish all time. What do you guys think? Tom, I know you said you haven't had a chance to watch, but what
I'll get
what you've heard. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say my only just looking at the results. I know the House of Black match got added on after we had already recorded our episode and submitted picks. So, but that's cool to see House of Black getting the win over Pac and Penta and old Eric Redbeard there. I guess that's what they're calling him. But my only and it's not even really a complaint. I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised that there were 0 title changes at all from the tag team to the women's and arguably the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Not surprised by Jade Cargill or Jade Card, whatever. I'm not surprised by. I can never say her last name right, but I'm not surprised that Jade beat Tay Conte.
Cargill?
Yeah, her. I always feel like I put in a D or I don't put in a right consonant somewhere. Anyways, I'm not surprised that Jade retained. She's they just got that title on her not long ago. It'd be way too soon to take it off of her, and she's still undefeated, right? I mean, even before the title. So she's got a while for that, and I feel like that's whoever takes that off of her, that's going to be obviously a really big deal. But yeah, I mean, from the sounds of everything and like the fallout that has happened afterwards, it doesn't sound like anything that I would be like, oh, well, you know, I'm glad I didn't watch it or anything like that. It doesn't sound like there was a stinker of a match at all. In fact, there's some stuff that I specifically want to go back and really watch. I definitely want to go back and watch the Kingston Jericho match. I'd really like to see Wardlow, winning the Face of the Revolution match. The CM Punk MJF match, I'd like to go back and watch. Moxley and Danielson. And I'm sure other people by the time they hear this recording, I'm sure they have either already heard or have seen, but, spoiler alert, after the Moxley Danielson match, Regal debuting there. And, I saw the little, saw the promo that he cut now after the fact.
Man,
talking about him coming. It's a good time. I'm excited to see where everything is going from here.
Do yourself a favor and just carve out like 4 hours and just bang through pay-per-view, man. Because whenever you say that there's not a bad match on the card,
yeah,
you're 100% spot on. The Baker Thunder Rosa match didn't quite hit the cylinders that I think everybody was expecting.
Okay,
I think so. Well, before we get into all this, Pat, did you watch the show?
I caught highlights of it, and I knew it was going to be a great show when I went to go make my picks, because I'm just looking at these matches, and it was so hard to pick for this one, because really, to me, it could have gone either way with about 7 or 8 of those matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was going to be a great show.
And that's exactly what Dave said to me too. He's like, "Man, I have never had such a tough time picking a card." So yeah, and that's the fun of it. When you know that you're going to get great matches, and the winners of those matches are 50-50. Like when you know that there's a shot that pretty much anybody could win any match on the card, that makes it exciting. Poochki, I know you watched it. What do you think, big man?
Well, I was kind of in that was it when I was on top of Mount Sickness. But however, I did really enjoy it. There were a couple times where I had to I was sitting up here and I was delirious, so I had to go lay down for a couple minutes. But I get back up and I watch. I loved every second of it, and there were a couple times where it made me forget that I was sitting there just snotting and coughing and being miserable. I was sitting there under my blanket in the pootatorium, and I had my cup of water and I had my little snacky doodles, and I was listening to it with my friends. I felt like I was back in high school and we were watching, whatever, Hell in a Cell or No Way Out or any kind of wrestling pay-per-view, and life was good. It took me back. It took me back to whenever I was a really big fan and really loved it. And it never stopped the whole time. Every match on that card was knockdown, drag out great. Like Beef said, we could nitpick and we could say that the legs didn't get under Thunder Rosa versus Baker as much as one anticipated. But man, come on. Even whenever we're that one didn't really get out of the gate super strong, we still talk about it like it was great. I was so... Go ahead.
Well, and I just real quick. So from what I've heard, what I've read, the scuttlebutt is that Thunder Rosa was supposed to win, and that changed at the nth hour. That was a game day decision, almost McMahon-ish.
Oh no! Don't you put that evil on Tony Khan?
Probably because they saw the money in Baker versus Cargill.
No. Thunder Rosa is probably going to win the title next week in her hometown, San Antonio, at St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Maybe that's probably why they did it then.
Maybe, but I feel like some of the teeth was lost at that point. So it plus, I mean, MJF and CM Punk went through a fucking war. I can't like put it into words how amazing that match was. Like the haters will say that it went too long, and maybe it did, but like at the end of the day, they both told an amazing story in the ring. Start to finish, this angle with MJF and CM Punk has been amazing. And fucking surprise, surprise, MJF and CM Punk, two of the best talkers in ring history, you know, having a great match. Go figure. But they had a big bloody brawl, which again is what it needed to be.
Right.
And Baker and Rose had to follow that. So that was an unenviable task for anybody out there. But the crowd was at least more or less back into it by the end of the match. But yeah, I think Thunder Rosa losing kind of deflated the sales ever so slightly. So
question for you. So did they announce on Dynamite that Thunder Rosa was going to get another shot at the title then?
Yeah, so on Dynamite there was a number one contenders match between her and legit Layla Hirsch. And she beat Layla, so she's facing Baker next week, and Wardlow is facing the new TNT champion next week as well at St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about.
And we'll talk about Dynamite. We got plenty of time here, gents.
Yeah.
So here are a couple of hot takes from Revolution that I had. Keith Lee sent Orange Cassidy into the fucking stratosphere. And I don't think that that's all on Keith Lee. I think that that's on Orange Cassidy and booking. I think that they said, hey, Keith, we want you to see what you can do and just fucking pitch this guy like you did Isaiah Cassidy. So he did. And Orange, went way too far. He got hurt, so he's out for a little bit. But
oh no,
man, did it look fucking awesome. Keith Lee is going to be the man in AEW. It's going to take some time because they're still sifting through the new stars that they got it all out. But Keith Lee's going to be a big fucking deal. And one of the other big things was, and this is pre-show, but that House of Black match that you referenced with Eric Redbeard, they made him look like a fucking monster. And they made him look unbeatable. They made him look like the fucking Big Show, which begs the question: how did WWE really mess Eric Rowan and Luke Harper up? Like they were together for fucking 7-10 years or whatever, and they couldn't figure him out
because they didn't have. Yeah, they're big guys, they're muscular guys, but the problem is they kept trying to keep them in formats and looks and everything that they wanted him to be in. Even when he was when he was running around as Luke Harper, he still wore the white wife beater and the jeans. Okay, I'm sorry, the white undershirt. I guess we don't say wife beater, but but then Eric Rowan. I mean, even after they were the Bludgeon Brothers and stuff like that, when they went their separate, there was that little time. But for the most part, he was running around, faffing about in a jumpsuit. They didn't, and they kept giving him dumb spiders, and they didn't. No. Do you remember the fucking spider? Jesus Christ! I forgot
about the dumb spider. Oh God!
No, right? Everyone did, and I just pulled that out of your subconscious to piss you off. Because you should be
congratulations.
You should be pissed off because when I see someone coming out with that giant beard looking like a nightmare that could rip a phone book in 75ths, okay, and wearing a Tear shirt. By the way, Tear is a great band. Go listen to them. And he just runs roughshod. That's what he should be doing, and he never was going to be that in WWE. Never. So, how can they screw it up? Because all they see is laughy, goofy cartoon characters. If you know the movie The Mask, with Jim Carrey, go read the comic books. There's a couple panels where it shows how the Mask actually sees the world, and it looks like Toontown on meth. That's how Vince McMahon fucking sees these guys. I went full corny there for a second. I did. I went full corny there for a second. Motherfuckers.
And this is but before we talk to so I want to get the I want to hear what you guys think was the match of the night for those of you that have seen any highlights or whatever. But so real quick, something that really stuck in my craw from the pay-per-view was Jade Cargill's entrance, which was amazing. She came out dressed as Jade from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, nice.
Like, how fucking awesome. She has fucking paid her dues. She's coming up the right way. And for being in the sport for 3 years, looks fucking awesome.
3
But
years?
she came
Really?
out, yeah. She came out and JR was like, "Oh, Jade Cargill looks like a superhero." And
Oh, JR.
Excalibur goes, "Or a Mortal Kombat character." I'm like, man, JR, like, if you don't know what you're talking about,
Just
shut
stop.
the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, I get that you're paid to talk, but for fuck's sake, like, I heard that and it drilled into my head, and I'm like, fuck, JR, please retire, please go away. Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I cannot say enough good things. You need to go back and watch Revolution. If you haven't, find a means to do so, because hopefully it'll be on, hopefully the AEW will be streaming soon and it'll be part of the library. It's fucking incredible. But real quick, I want to get you guys' thoughts on what the match, or what you heard, or the scuttlebutt was of what the match of the night was, and then I'll give you mine. What do you think, Pat? What have you heard, or what have you from what you've seen? What's the match of the night?
It'd probably have to be CM Punk against MJF.
Yeah, sorry, he saw the same thing I did just now. God damn you, Poot.
The thing that sticks in my craw though about that one is I don't understand why Punk won.
I can clue you in on that after you're done though.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, right now I'm seeing MJF as like the heel of the company. Like, he is going to be the number one heel in AEW because he's just so good at it.
Yeah.
The only other really bad thing that I could say about this pay-per-view is that, and I love her to death, but my wife has no idea who any of these wrestlers are, and she still picked better than me.
Wow.
Dude, that's the equivalent. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. That's the equivalent of when you were playing Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter and someone would just high punch.
Button mash.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, this is hold on. This is pretty topical.
Stop imposing your will.
How many people grab the fucking March Madness brackets and just fill them out based on name alone? Like,
yeah.
Like that's the equivalent. And you know what? Sometimes chalk is good. Go ahead, Tom.
Well,
what's your? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but to Pat's point about why CM Punk would win over MJF, I think they realized that there's still legs for this feud. So now it wouldn't surprise me, and I think I was listening to some Busted Open, and I always really enjoy hearing the perspective coming from somebody like a Bully Ray or whatever, who seems to, at times I don't always agree with what he has to say, but in this case I think it makes sense. I can't remember if it was him or Dreamer that said, like, in this instance, or it might have even been one of the other guys, not Dave LaGreca, but whoever else that hosts or co-hosts with them, but they said you could have Punk go over in this one, and then actually just kind of leave it alone for a little bit, let things simmer, and you can always come back to it later on, like back at an All Out or something like that, because there's still kind of the, almost, if you really want to think about it, if this were WWE, immediately the very next thing at All In, you'd have some rubber match between CM Punk or MJF, or you'd have it a couple, next month sometime on Dynamite or whatever. But realistically, you could leave this simmer for a little while and revisit it. And Punk can kind of go do his thing and be like, you know what? Hey, I beat him in the dog collar match. I put this thing to bed, and MJF can just kind of let it fester and stuff like that. Be like, no, you didn't, and eventually come back and do heel things and reignite the feud. But it at least leaves it open ended, because they both have gotten a win over each other.
Right.
So there's still that rubber match to be had, but it leaves that story open ended, but it allows them to both go on and work with other people and do some other things for now. So I think personally, it's a good move that they had Punk go over. A good example of 50-50 booking there.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then.
Well, and I mean, at this point, I think that MJF or Punk could really eat a pinfall. Neither one of them are going to be hurt at all by losing.
Right.
I don't know who made the decision. I mean, obviously Tony Khan, but the high level meetings about Punk losing in Chicago and then winning at the pay-per-view, obviously, when you have a big angle, you want to have the babyface come out on top. That's wrestling booking 101. Whether or not you believe in babyfaces or heels is irrelevant. The good guy should win at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Never mind. Go ahead. Go on. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
But like, there's that element. And then, I mean, obviously, I think that Punk losing in Chicago allowed them to have a killer, brutal dog collar match at Revolution. So I think that the reason why Punk went over in that match is because he had to lose in his hometown to set up that match. So, yeah, I get it. Tom said it perfectly. 50-50 booking done right. And when that is done right, it works.
Well, and it's not even just the 50-50 booking aspect of it. It was... I mean, the stars aligned for everything for Punk to come back and tip his cap to his Ring of Honor days with Miseria Cantare, coming out to that. That was huge. That felt great. And then, of course...
Good.
And, and then having after the match, having Cult of Personality, because, like Beef said, you give the people what they want. They want to sing Cult of Personality. They want that. Punk went deep to bring back that, to beat MJF in this match. And then he could kind of relax and get back to who he is. You know what I mean? Just the amount of storytelling that two wrestlers can do when they're given the reins and they're given the tools like that is phenomenal. And there's a press conference with him and Tony Khan after the fact, and Punk almost the whole time is crying. Almost the whole time is crying because he's so happy. That is a man who loves what he does and loves being back doing it. Like, it's just go watch it. Just go on YouTube and look for that thing. It's phenomenal.
His Punk's attire, by the way, was the exact same attire, with a little bit of updating, that he wore in Ring of Honor in a dog collar match against Raven.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they replaced the skull and crossbones with his dog.
With Larry. Yep, with Larry. So, really, really cool to fucking see that. And, that dude, remembers his roots. And, the fact they just bought Ring of Honor, everything just kind of came together perfectly for that.
How was the main event in your opinion? Since for those of you that watched it, Hangman versus Adam Cole. The only complaint I have is that very slightly the audience overstayed their welcome on the whole "Let's go Adam sucks" thing.
Yeah, it was funny for a minute, and then it wasn't funny. But then in Family Guy fashion, it came back around to being funny again when they were like, "This is Adam." That was a good one. And fuck, the fight for Adam. Fight for Adam was another really good one.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I agree. There was a little bit of schlock to it. It was okay. It wasn't match of the night. It was what it needed to be, which was Hangman beating Cole.
Hangman beating Page. He beat himself. I didn't think you could do that on a paper.
He got.
I lied. The dick references are still here.
Of course, because that's what we do. We're 16. He looked the part of a dominant champion.
That's good.
But left some Adam Cole came out on Dynamite and was like, "Hey, I gave you everything I had, and I took you to the limit like no one else has before." Even though Bryan Danielson took him actually to the limit, literally.
Limit. Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, like, you know, it definitely leaves the door open for some more Adam Cole chicanery.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can make a match of the night because there were a lot of great candidates. The tag team match, I don't think gets enough love. Obviously, Whisper Dragon, the Young Bucks is going to be an amazing match. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus killed as well. But I mean, Mox and Danielson was everything that I wanted it to be, everything that I needed it to be, and like at the end, like the match happened on like a roll up, like Moxley rolled him up and caught him by surprise. And they were looking to get started again, and then fucking out comes William Regal, like, you know, being all William Regal and just looking like he looking like he had a patch of or a bag of Sour Patch Kids before he came out. And
now I gotta interject with that. To your point, what you just said right there, that's a perfect example of good. I don't know who the booker of the match was, you know, who helped the two of them put it together. But I will say that is
probably Regal, if we're being honest.
Yeah, honestly, I mean,
it could be.
But right there, that's a perfect example. And this is not a slam against WWE in any way, shape, or form when I say this, because you do see it from time to time there too.
You can go ahead and slam them. You go ahead and do that.
But this is a perfect example right there. Moxley beating Danielson with a roll up. That's a perfect example of, you know, like good storytelling. Like Jon Moxley, the not traditional quote unquote wrestler, not the traditional tactician or anything like that, beating Danielson, the wrestler, with a wrestling move. That's perfect. That's wrestling psychology 101 right there. That's all I wanted to say on that.
and it was, I think the part that really made me sit up and start being like, okay, this is something special. They both did like suicide dives to the outside.
Yeah. And
they're like, all right, fuck this. And it just evolved into a hockey fight. They just like grabbed each other's collars and started bashing away at one another. That's when I think it went over the line of like, okay, this is becoming really amazing. So final thoughts on Revolution, gents.
I'm excited to go back and watch it as soon as I have 4 hours of my life to carve out of it. I know I could have today with being off work, but quite honestly, I slept till like 11 and then didn't get out of bed until like noon because fuck it, you need those days every once in a blue moon.
Sure do.
But hopefully, I plan to carve out some time tomorrow in the morning, late morning, you know, before I have to go get my kids and stuff like that to catch some of the highlights and catch some of these matches I was really wanted to see.
Yeah, man. Pootsky?
Well, but like my piece, I'm just saying, if you didn't watch it, you're stupid and dumb, and you should go back and watch it. Now, obviously, Tom, you're excluded from that.
That's
because
hurtful.
You've already said that you're going to go watch it. You're going to carve out time and make it. Guest host Magoo, I'm looking at you for that. No, Pat. Actually, you're the reason why I'm going off on this tangent, Pat. I actually want to ask, what potential do you see happening with the Regal Moxley Danielson pairing? Like, where do you think they're going to run with this? Because we've all kind of speculated on it a little bit. Like we've kind of, you know, talked about it independently. We've kind of like said, and then whenever we were talking on the night that we were watching it, Beef, we were kind of like, oh man, what's going to happen with this? What do you think is going to come of this?
See, I don't know, and that's what the exciting part about AEW is. It can go whichever direction that they want to take it in, and it's going to be worth watching. So whatever they decide, I am 100% down for.
Fucking preach. I'll say this, and we're gonna get into Dynamite talk here in a minute, but obviously Garcia's got his own thing going on.
Oh my! I love the preemptive exasperated sigh already.
I agree, and I'm super excited to start pissing some Wheaties here. But so Garcia's spoken for, but I mean there are still plenty of young guys out there who or girls, fucking legit Layla Hirsch would fit right into that stable. Like, they pull her in, and she's a fucking champion within a year, guaranteed.
Wait. You mean in the stable of Regal, Danielson,
Moxley,
and
yep.
Now, didn't you just say that Layla Hirsch was kind of just starting on a bit of a heel tear? Like,
yes.
So do you think that they would bring in a female heel to essentially what's going to be a face stable?
I don't.
I mean, so I know going way back, we're in AEW, we don't have faces and heels. No, listen, to any good story, there's a protagonist, there's an antagonist. So call it a face, heel, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Technically, Danielson was a heel whenever this mishmash started. Okay. So, it's real easy to go from like being the serious, angry heel to being like the I'm gonna kick your ass face.
Okay.
Like the Braun Breaker minus the you need to smile more, kid. There's a dig. There's a spoiler for the next show you're gonna listen to when we talk about Raw and fucking how they're treating Braun Breaker. But bottom line is I think that legit Layla Hirsch would fit in perfectly there. Dante Martin's another one. I know that his style is completely different from either Moxley or Danielson, but I think that that's what makes that pairing so incredibly fun to watch. Is they're kind of like the Odd Couple. Like, Moxley's the guy that's all fire, all like excitement, all like I'm gonna beat you, like, and I'm gonna staple your
unfocused violence.
Yes, and Danielson is the guy who absolutely fucking, like, he focuses his chi, that he's fucking centered, and he goes out there and he just fucking, like, wrestles you till you're crying. That's why that pairing is so fun. So I think adding in a completely different style than those two altogether could be fun as well.
Okay. Well.
So, as we are talking about Dynamite, or as we're talking about AEW, let's talk about Dynamite. So, you come off of I'm gonna stand on my soapbox for a minute. Get ready. Here's Beef's legendary letdown. It's been a minute.
Oh fuck, throwback.
You come off of
as he says with a half mouthful of food.
It's not just food. I'm an adult man now, so I got myself some Cocoa Puffs. Suck it.
There you go, man. Fucking 9 p.m. Cocoa Puffs.
Hey, 9 p.m. Cocoa Pebbles, man. I've been eating nothing but like soft food and like tea for the past couple days. Suck my dick. I want some cocoa.
There was no insult. I fucking love a big bowl of cereal at 9 p.m. Jesus.
So riled up. Really is.
It's the ransom. Hey, I'm sorry. It's the ransom effect. I love you boys. Continue, Beef. Give us that letdown.
Yeah. So soapbox.
That's
come off
ransom
of.
Effect.
It is.
You come off of the biggest pay-per-view of your history, being talked in hushed whispers, as good as some of the biggest pay-per-views of all time. And you put together a show that was okay. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. But my problem is not with the show. My problem is with the debut of Jeffrey Nero Hardy, and they made sure to say his name 8 times, the full thing, so that whenever he turns into brother Nero, everybody's like, who's that? No, like, they fucking JR Pumless over the head. So here's the thing, man, and I may be the asshole. Like, it's generally well received on, like, the Internet Wrestling Society right now. People are like, oh, I like to see Jeff Hardy in AEW. No, man.
No.
Jeff Hardy has no fucking place in AEW. He is sloppy. He is a danger to himself and other wrestlers. He is erratic. And he is a never was. And yes, I understand that Jeff Hardy held the World Championship.
Wow.
And yes, I think Jeff Hardy even held the WWE title.
He did.
I still say he was a never was. He is a one-hit wonder if there ever was.
Yep.
So I don't like when you have a guy like fucking Brian Cage sitting at home twiddling his fucking thumbs. When you have a guy like Joey Janela who can't show up, he's not.
Brian Cage has been doing work for other places because I've been.
Miro's hurt. Brian Cage has they just have nothing for him. Like, where's Lance Archer been? Like, when you have people the caliber of those kind of guys, and you instead Danhausen, you signed Danhausen and you put him on the he's a fucking escort.
Oh, who did he curse? Who did he curse?
Danhausen is still healing.
I think it may have been Ricky Starks.
It was Ricky Starks. My point. Danhausen is still healing up from his injury.
Yes.
My point here is that you have a litany of guys and gals that absolutely need more spotlight because AEW's roster is getting bigger and better. But so you're going to carve time out for the fucking Hardy Boys, a 30-year-old niche gimmick that is only successful because they can jump off of things and go through tables real nice.
Where the hell is hell has Omega been?
He's hurt. He's working on some injuries. You know who else jumps off high things and goes through tables? Sammy Guevara. Spotlight Sammy Guevara. You know who else? Darby Allin. Spotlight Darby Allin. Fucking Sting. A 60-year-old man dove off of an awning through a fucking table at Revolution.
Oh, wow.
Focus on Sting. You know who doesn't need to be there? Jeff fucking Nero fucking Hardy.
All right, before Pat gets into this, because I know this is what he wanted to talk about too. I'll play devil's advocate for a moment, only a minute second, and say that they did have Darby Allin and Sting come out to help out Matt whenever Andrade had Private Party turn on him and stuff, which we probably should have all seen coming anyways. Which I guess kind of lends credence to Beef saying like it wasn't the greatest show, wasn't the worst show, but again, that's one of those things. If you pay enough attention to the dirt sheets and you were paying attention to Jeff Hardy, God knows why, but just for informational purposes, he had said he wanted to come to AEW, this and that. Darby and Sammy and Sting get the win at Revolution. Now Andrade, I'm sure, is pissed. So then they have, him and Matt have their fucking thing in the ring, and Matt gets the thumbs down all around. Of course, this was gonna fucking happen, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm definitely in line with Beef. I don't give a shit about Jeff Hardy. Like, listen, who likes Jeff Hardy? Fucking 30 and 40-year-old women that used to and or still shop at Hot Topic. Get over it.
I'm so pissed at myself. I wanted to throw out the fucking Mike Adamle line, Jeff Harvey, but I was so fired up that I forgot. Pat, keep talking about how much of a fucking disappointment this is. Go.
Don't get me wrong. I love Hot Topic, by the way. So
it makes my head hurt just knowing that Jeff Hardy is back in any kind of wrestling ring. He is past his prime, if he even had a prime. He's too old to be doing the stuff that he does. There is no wrestling organization that needs him, especially AEW. Like you said, he is a danger to others. He is a danger to himself. Jeff Hardy should have been gone 5-10 years ago. And the fact that he is still in a promotion and being featured boggles my mind. It's like being in the twilight zone of wrestling.
When Jeff Hardy is sober, he's sloppy and dangerous. When Jeff Hardy is sober, those words don't go together. They're like polar opposites because Jeff Hardy is never sober.
All right. I'm tired of listening to the Fox News of wrestling. I'm fucking tired of this. So, okay, listen. Am I the biggest Jeff Hardy fan in the world? No. I've always liked Matt better. Do I agree with the fact that you guys are like that Jeff Hardy should have hung it up a while ago? Yes. But the thing is, whether you like it or not, he has done he's done a lot of notable things, both good and bad. Let's not forget, he was standing in the ring with Sting directly across from him. Remember what him and Sting did last in the ring?
How awkward was that?
Yeah. Right?
How awkward?
Yeah.
How awkward did Steve Borden feel?
Steve Borden had to have felt. Now, but hear me out. You guys are basically talking about Jeff Hardy like he has done nothing of note ever in wrestling, and that all he does is sit backstage, shove meth into his dick hole, and butt chug Jack Daniels. Like, you guys are like, you guys are going over the top with the amount of fucking hatred that you have for Jeff Hardy. I'm sorry you don't like him, but you can't deny what he's done and the matches and the moments that he's put on. Is he now a danger to himself? Yes. But, like, he's always been a danger to himself. Everything he's ever fucking done in the ring, scrap that. In his life, he's been a danger to himself. If they have the confidence in him, if Matt's even said he doesn't have much longer in the ring, I think this is a way for Matt, I don't know about Jeff, but I think this is a way for Matt to close out his career with his brother the way that he started it, with his brother. I think that they're going to do the Hardy Boys thing. I think they might do a little stretch of the Broken thing. And then I think eventually they're just going to hang it up. Or at least Matt's going to hang it up. But like Jeff, until he does something where he kills a man, people in the wrestling world are gonna fucking love him because he has that X factor and not, yo, you're dealing with the X factor. Like he has that thing that people just look at him and love him. It's that cool X factor that a lot of people don't have. And is a lot of it parceled out because he is a spot monkey? Yes. But when he isn't doing the spot monkey stuff, right? Whatever, what the whole Broken thing, that was Matt trying to beat that out of him and calling him spot monkey and everything. When Jeff dials it back, he's actually really good in the ring. The fundamentals are there and he can do it. It's just, that's not what gave him his fame. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got so heated at the beginning of that. But my God, you guys are just sitting here just being like, Jeff Hardy's nothing. Brooklyn Brawler's better.
You know what?
Where's Gilbert?
I am on my WrestleMania kick, and I'm right about the time of the Hardy Boys like excitement. 16, 17, 18, 19, etc. Here's the thing. The Hardy Boys didn't win those matches. The Hardy Boys didn't win a big WrestleMania match until WrestleMania 34, which is when they came back because Matt Hardy was the important one.
I know, but so Hardy, fucking what? They were there and they did shit. You're acting like they weren't there and they didn't do shit.
So here's the thing. My impetus is this, and I understand Jeff Hardy has had a storied career. I'm not besmirching him. I'm saying that him taking a spot away from another guy on the AEW or gal on the AEW show is damn near unforgivable. There's no spot in AEW for him right now. That's where that's where all my venom and vitriol is coming from. And not only that, but let's be proactive as opposed to reactive. You read this guy's fucking rap sheet, it reads like a fucking NFL player. You are basically just sitting on this time bomb hoping that you're cutting the right cord at the right time. AEW is a burgeoning company. Yes, they are successful, but they are still new. The last thing that they need is negative publicity, which is Jeff Hardy's real middle name. Jeff Negative Publicity Hardy.
I mean, listen, I get where Poot's coming from. I'm now since Poot's been channeling the inner Ransom, I'm going to channel the inner Poot and try to play Switzerland here. So I get where Poot's coming from. Like, you can't deny, the accomplishments that Jeff Hardy's had. I won't take that away from him. But when it comes down to it, I'm with Beef on this one about being proactive rather than reactive. Like, if I'm honestly surprised I'm honestly surprised that WWE, let alone any other wrestling promotion, took Jeff Hardy back in after the shit that got pulled, in Impact or whatever. Him showing up drunk to a fucking show, to the match, to the ring, and everything. I know that I know that historically, WWE has helped guys through like rehab and stuff like that, or at least they tried to, like with Hall back in the day and stuff like that. I get that, trying to do right by these people and helping them out just to be a good person, because that's the humanitarian thing to do or whatever. But you got to remember, it's also still a business too. So I personally, I wouldn't have wanted to bring in somebody that could be such a big liability like a Jeff Hardy. I get it. People still pop from him, and I gotta say, I'm surprised that he had the fucking Hardy Boys music coming down to whenever he did his run in. Which, by the way,
so like
hold on, let me finish. I was surprised that they had the Hardy Boys music, because I thought I would have figured that was owned by WWE. Number one. Number two, that run in down there was fucking stupid, because like Poot posted in the Discord, fucking Jeff Hardy like dancing his way down the ramp. I'm like, what are you doing? Go save your brother. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? That just kind of
that's the only point that I'll stick up from. That's the only point that I'll stick up from on, is that he was probably taken in the moment, because he was probably pretty fucking exciting.
Listen, if that was going to be the case, I don't know, fucking do it another time. Like I feel like that's just like kind of a bad choice. Like if you're supposed to be coming to save your brother in the moment, you're not going to stop to like pose or whatever at the top of the ramp, or you're not going to stop to like do your little fucking stupid dance down the rampway. Like, just fucking get down there and then take in the adulation afterwards. Hit the ropes, whatever, hit the turnbuckle, and fucking throw up, your shocker sign or whatever you do. Fucking whatever, do that. But like that kind of seems stupid to me. But yeah, the music wouldn't have WWE owned the rights to the fucking Hardy Boys music?
I remember fucking like 20 years ago watching like Adult Swim at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning or whatever, and seeing like commercials that had like the Hardcore Holly, the back, da 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 da, and like the Hardys music. Like there were a couple very generic themes that WWE used that are like
iconic.
I don't want to say open source, but they're basically open source that like people could use for other things. So like I remember seeing like it was like I think a commercial for a monster truck rally that incorporated the Hardy's music, and I'm like,
Sunday.
Are the Hardy Boys here? What's happening? So like, the minute that I heard that Jeff Hardy was going to come, I'm like, oh, they're probably going to get that stupid old fucking Hardy Boy music. To be honest, that's probably the best thing that they did. This whole fucking scenario, like this whole fucking thing, that's probably the best part of it, is that they got the Hardy Boys music, like because it is iconic.
Man, I don't know what could piss beef off more than Jeff Hardy returning. Like Pat.
Oh, I'm sure I could think of a couple things.
So like. So Pat, you are vehemently, like horribly against this. 1,000%.
Yep.
He had to muster that over the sound of vomit and disappointment.
This is the man who sends us a question every single week. This is another wrestling historian. It is no joke that the two wrestling historians are absolutely over our fucking heads on this, because it doesn't make sense.
The only thing that makes sense about it, in my opinion, trying to see it from all sides, is the fact that he came to save his brother because his brother got turned on by Private Party and Andrade. And okay, from a storyline perspective, yeah, that makes sense, because who's going to come save Matt Hardy? Who really has any sort of investment in Matt Hardy at this point in time. Like,
you know, would have been a great choice.
Hold on.
Drone.
Okay, yeah, that would have been good. But the drone.
No, man. Sammy Guevara. Him and Sammy Guevara had some fucking wars last year, a couple years ago during the pandemic. Like, how fitting would that have been for Sammy to come out? And I understand that Sammy had his own thing that he was doing later on in the night. So, like, that, I get it. But, like...
That to me would... Well... Okay, I guess I was just almost kind of argued my own point, because I was going to say I don't know why Darby and Sting came down whenever they were part of the team, but with along with Sammy that just beat Andrade, Matt, and Isaiah Cassidy just at Revolution. So I don't know why. Darby's because Darby and Sting are super uber face.
To Poot's point, that would have been the only other thing that could have pissed me off more, is if fucking Matt Hardy was getting laid out by 6 full-grown, tough adults, and Jeff Hardy comes down and clears the ring by himself. Like, if Jeff Hardy came down and played out Butcher, Blade, Private Party, Andrade, and Andrade's little fucking weasel of a manager, if Jeff Hardy came down and cleared them all out by himself, I would have had an embolism. Like, that would have been it for me. I would have been like, well, beef's going to the big beef barn in the sky because I'm done.
Yeah. I was surprised he still didn't have a stroke over all this.
Yeah.
It's because I could feel the winds of change coming. I knew it was going to happen.
Would you say it was a whisper in the wind?
Stop it. Here's to my point about him being a liability. This fucking dumbass, while he's still in his 90-day no-compete clause,
is he still?
No. But when he said, I'm going to AEW. Not, hey, I'd like to go to AEW. Not, man, we'll see what happens. No, he said, I'm going to AEW. And everybody's like, huh? And Tony Khan's like, take that down. And he's like, my bad. I was saying that I wanted to go. And now WWE is looking at a potential lawsuit, reportedly, for contract tampering.
Oh, my God.
He didn't hit the fucking ring. And I was reading about a potential lawsuit WWE is looking at for contract tampering because he's a dumbass. And I get it. The best part about Jeff Hardy is that he's emotional and he feeds on his feelings, and that's why people relate to him. But man, you gotta throttle that shit back, because when you could potentially get somebody in trouble for saying something that you can't say before it's time to reveal it, that's a problem.
I feel like if we don't burrito here soon, Beef's gonna have a fucking stroke.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to burrito.
And I'm so upset that we talked about fucking Jeff Hardy for so long that I didn't even get to talk about Scorpio Sky winning the TNT title. Congrats to Scorpio Sky, the first ever person who's held the tag team and the TNT title. Great job, Scorpio. Even though you're only gonna have it for a week, still awesome job.
He's not wrong. Not wrong.
Pat, before
I was gonna say that.
Oh my God! Stop wrestling over who's talking.
No. Hold on. The only I was gonna say that is a good discussion for the next episode, because next episode is gonna be riddled with a bunch of title change talk. I am sure.
Matt Riddle?
No fucking joke.
Yes.
So before we put this one away, Pat, give us some last thoughts that you have right now, please, and thank you.
You know what, AEW, you are that company. You are learning, and every time you step up to bat, you're not going to hit a home run. So, I mean, this thing with Jeff Hardy, consider that your first strikeout.
A moment of clarity and a moment of zen. Said well. Thanks, Pat. Poot, wrap us up.
Okay, now that the negative Knicks are done talking, thank you for listening to the P3 Podcast. We'll do more with our sponsors after the next episode. Make sure you stick around. They're down in the description. You check them out for yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Pat. You're the best.
Jeff Hardy sucks.